It has been a huge topic of conversation amongst Newcastle United fans lately. Just how much is our transfer budget going to be when that summer transfer window opens? Luke Edwards has come out with a big statement yesterday saying that Newcastle United, as you can see there, are going to be very aggressive in the summer transfer window. What exactly does aggressive mean? Shaka His Love has come out with a ridiculous statement regarding midfielder Bruno. Michael Owen has been, talking about Newcastle United again. And the forgotten man, Ryan Fraser, returned yesterday for the under-21s. Let's have a look at it all. This is the Daily News. Hi guys, I'm Paul. Welcome back to the Daily News on the Toon Review. And as usual, before we get into all the stories, if you wouldn't mind sticking a like on this video, if you do enjoy it, it really does help this channel move up those search results. And as you can see, we're rapidly heading towards 19,000 subscribers now. So if you could, if you're new, please hit the subscribe button, free to do so, and also that notification bell which will let you know when we go live or we upgrade. It is a fantastic community on here on the Toon Review. Come and join it for free. Right, let's get into the crux of the stories. And the immediate one standing out is, of course, regarding Newcastle United's budget for next summer's transfer window. Now, a lot has been said about this in the build-up to the last few weeks. You know, are we going to spend millions? Is it dependent on where we finish in the league? Who's coming in as sponsors? And then Luke Edwards releases a report saying Newcastle United are now going to be aggressive in the window. Now, what does aggressive mean? Does this mean that we're going to really fight for these players now? We're going to go in and not give an ultimatum to any teams like we've done in the past, saying, right, this is as far as we're going. That's it. We're not going to go any higher. Or do we negotiate a bit more with these teams? Are we willing to fight the bigger teams around us for these big names? Now, three of the big names that I've written down here, James Madison, Declan Rice, and, of course, Diaby at Leverkusen. Diaby's been a long-term target of Newcastle United. We know that, Leverkusen have done very well this season to get out of the crap that they had at the start. They were all over the shop at the start of this season, but they've recovered, in fairness to them. Xabi Alonso's done a very good job with them, and Diaby's been a big part of that. He scored goals in Europe and in the Bundesliga, and, they're in the top half now after recovering from an absolutely dreadful start, but I think they're expected to lose Diaby at the end of the season. You've got Declan Rice, who continues to be linked to us, no matter how fake you think that is or dramatic you think that is. These are the kind of players that Newcastle United, if they're going to go aggressive, will be looking at. Now, many people can say, oh, what was the conversation between Eddie Howe, Jason Tyndall and Declan Rice at the end of that game against West Ham at St James's Park? We will never know. But it all looked very friendly. But, people will say, oh, Eddie was probably saying to Declan, come and join us. Look what you've got to look forward to here. Look how we're growing. I mean, look, players talk. There may well have been something said already to Declan Rice that Newcastle may well be interested in him, but we don't know that. And then you look at the James Madison situation. Now, Leicester, for me, look odds on to go down. They're not playing very well at all. I think some of the players at Leicester have down tools. Dean Smith faces a very tough job to get those guys motivated, to be honest. But with James Madison, he's got a year left on his contract. And Leicester, if they go down, they won't be able to afford him in the Championship. It's as simple as that. So I think either way, James Madison will be leaving the King Power Stadium in the summer. Now, rumours were last week that he was going to go to Tottenham. Tottenham have a big interest in James Madison. So do Newcastle United, though, and have done for quite some time now, in all fairness. Now, does this aggressive nature mean that we are prepared to really scrap and fight for these top players, offer them money that blows our wage budget out of the window? Because, it's been mentioned a lot in the past, how far above our wage structure are we willing to go? Is it now time, if we finish in the Champions League? Does that wage structure change? For me, it has to, because if you want to attract Champions League players, you've got to pay Champions League wages. It's the way football is now. It's the same with the Europa League, though. If you're going into the Europa League, you can get the next best level of players, in my opinion. But this is Newcastle United going aggressive. So whatever aggressive means, they are prepared to fight for these players. And this is where the project or the process with the new owners really kicks off. It really does. But bear in mind, I'll say one thing about Luke Edwards. who has blocked the majority of Newcastle fans on Twitter anyway, to be honest, because any argument that you have with Luke Edwards about anything or any discussion that you have, if he thinks you're wrong, he sticks the block button on you. So you'll only see what he writes in his newspaper. He said a few months ago that Newcastle's budget was going to be 20 million quid. And we all laughed that off, thinking that is the most ridiculous thing to say, right? So take it with a pinch of salt. Only the summer will we find out just how aggressive Newcastle United are going to be in this transfer window. Because I think it all depends on where we finish. Finish Champions League, bring in new sponsors. That is going to create a whole host of massive revenue for the club. Now, that will affect FFP because if there's massive revenue coming in, we can spend more money. Okay? Finishing the Europa League, obviously it's nowhere near the Champions League money, but it's still European football, and we're still getting new sponsors through the door. So the aggressive nature is yet to be seen. So take it with a pinch of salt, but you know, it may well happen because we have to compete. You know, if we're going to be in Europe next season, the owners will want to compete. They'll not just want to say, oh, well, you know, we'll get into the early rounds, but it doesn't matter if we go out of Europe. Yes, it does. The owners will be wanting to be in Europe as long as we can, and hopefully that's going to be the Champions League. So time will tell on that one. Now, Shaka His Love. I don't know what Shaka's been smoking, quite frankly, or where he is in the world right now. But whatever he's been smoking or drinking, I want a piece of it, right? Because he has come out and said that if Newcastle United receive a good offer for Bruno in the summer, they'll sell him. Shaka, Newcastle United will not be selling Bruno. And I'm saying that as a supporter. You're a pundit and should know better than that than to come out with all that garbage. I mean, he's not... This is a guy who we are going to be building a squad around, not getting rid of. I don't know whether you've noticed, Shaka, but we are not a selling club anymore. We have one of the richest owners in the world, right? So we don't need to sell our best players to keep the books right. Those days have gone. This, you know, scrapping and scraping under Mike Ashley and selling our best players for a profit and all of this garbage. It's not Newcastle United anymore. That's not our identity. And you should know that. However, you know, what's going to happen is, and I think this 99% of the fans know this, that they are going to build a squad around Bruno. He is the spine of the team. You look up that spine, you've got Botman there, you've got Nick Pope, you've got Bruno, and then you've got Isak. You know, these are the young players, if you like, the spine of the team that Eddie wants to build around. And Bruno has come out and said it himself. He wants to be a legend at this football club. For me, it's just all the time, isn't it? When players are really successful at Newcastle United and play really well, before long, the pundits start jumping on the bandwagon saying, oh, you know, City or, you know, Real Madrid or Barcelona come in for these players and take them. It's not like that anymore at Newcastle United. It really isn't. I can understand if, you know, we don't get into the Champions League in the next 2 years, Bruno will probably move on because he's claimed he wants to play Champions League football. But what he's also said is he wants to play Champions League football with Newcastle United. And he's got a wonderful, wonderful opportunity of getting it this season, if not next. So, Shaka, have a word with yourself, mate. Because I think, you know, 99% of the fan base are absolutely howling at that comment. Because this is the spine of our team. We are not selling anymore. Simple as that. We don't sell players for profit, because we want to be top of the tree. And Amanda's already said that numerous times this season. She wants to win everything. And to win everything, we need our best players. And Bruno is one of the best midfielders that a lot of the fans have ever seen at St James's Park. Even the long-term fans who've been going for many, many years. So Shaka, get up with the times, matey, because that was a ridiculous thing to say. Right. Michael Owen, our old friend, our old Scouse mucker, who used to play for us, if you can remember that far back, didn't really have a great time. He has spent most of his time sitting on his arse collecting a wage, and has never really been kind about Newcastle United, certainly with the way he left the club, and then, of course, with what he said about the club in the recent past, you know, saying he didn't want to sign for us, he had no intention of, he wanted to go to Liverpool, etc., and we don't like him. We don't like him in these parts. However, what he's come out and said is he's backed Newcastle to reach the top 4, which is incredible. First bit of decent thing he's said in about, well, years and years, isn't it? He believes because we aren't currently in Europe or any of the cup competitions now, we've got one game a week, and that puts us in a very, very good position to challenge for the Champions League. And I actually agree with him. You know, you look at Man City, you look at Arsenal. No, Arsenal aren't in Europe anymore, but Arsenal are challenging for the title. Arsenal aren't even in there. They're not even against us. But you look at Manchester United, they're in Europe still. They've got a difficult tie at Sevilla this week. So they may only have one game a week after this, but they're still in the FA Cup as well. So I can tend to see where Michael Owen's coming from. This will give us an opportunity to get refreshed every week, ready for battle, and go out there and sweat blood and tears until we get that Champions League spot. But by God, we have got to come out and play a lot better than we have done recently. First half against Brentford. First half again, well, all game against Villa, we were dreadful, weren't we? So we've got to put a 90 minutes together again. And I just hope that that happens at the weekend against Spurs. Hopefully that's a massive kick up the arse that we need to start performing again. And just eradicate all these silly mistakes and really be on it from the word go. And finally, Ryan Fraser, remember him? Small, Scottish guy. Used to play for Bournemouth. Apparently he's been at Newcastle United for a couple of years now, but he hasn't really had a lot of games. Well, he made a comeback yesterday for the under-21s, of course. If you can remember, a few weeks ago, Eddie banished him to the under-21s because of a really rotten attitude, not putting it in training, which we've seen before from Ryan Fraser, it's fair to say. We've all seen it many, many times. Well, he scored yesterday in a 4-3 win against Norwich. But more to the point, Harrison Ashby came into the side yesterday, scored and a couple of assists as well, and looks a real talent. So this young right back could be Trippier's understudy and ready to go very, very soon because he looks a player. But for Ryan Fraser, the under-21 boss, Ben Dawson, came out and said that he was absolutely terrific in training and he's had no problem with his attitude since he's come down to the under-21s to train. He's not had a problem with him at all, and he's well, his words were absolutely terrific, something that I don't think Eddie Howe's ever used about Ryan Fraser at Newcastle United. But listen, if that's the case, credit to Ryan Fraser. If he's realised the error of his ways and he's putting his head down and he's just working now, still getting a bit of football till the end of the season, and we'll ship him off somewhere. So, you know, credit to him if he hasn't made a problem with the under-21s, because, you know, a player like that could go down there and give the wrong kind of impression to the youngsters. Think, oh, well, if he can get away with it, I'll do it kind of thing. He needs to set a good example still. So it looks like Ben Dawson is saying, yes, he is giving that good example to the youngsters. But there you go, guys. That is the daily news today. Let me know what you think about this aggressive nature that we're going to go attacking the transfers in the summer. What do you think that means by aggressive? Is it that we're going to really fight for these players? We're going to pay over the odds, or we're going to pay higher wages? Let me know. What do you think about Michael Owen's comments about us finishing in the top 4? Please tell me what you think about Shaka His Love saying that we're going to sell Bruno if we get a decent offer, because I think it's absolutely ludicrous. And Ryan Fraser, is there any return for him? Quite frankly, no, in my opinion, but you never know what you guys think out there. But thank you very much for watching the Daily News. As I said at the start, if you have enjoyed it, guys, please do smash that like button for us and keep us up there on the search results on YouTube. And of course, if you're new, come and join this amazing community that we've got on the Toon Review here and hit that subscribe button. Free to do so, and also the bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload. You can become a member of the Toon Review. Just hit the join button underneath this video. Catch us on all the socials, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And we do, of course, have a Discord as well, which has become very, very popular indeed. But that is it for now. Thank you very much for watching the show this afternoon, and we will catch you very soon. Take care, guys.